Namaste, Sastriyakal, Assalamualaikum, Kemcho, Varakam, Nisa Bulavinaka. Welcome to Cop Chat. I'm Jessica Puang, the Ethnic Responsiveness Manager for Tamaki Makaurau for the New Zealand Police. I'd like to thank Apna TV for allowing us to use this platform to reach out to the communities. Today, I have the privilege of inviting Area Commander Mark FURGOS to have a chat with me. Welcome to Cop Chat, Inspector Mark FURGOS. How are you?
Good, thank you, Jessica, and thanks for having me along today.
So you must have come from a long way, from Orewa?
So I'm Area Commander for Wairarapa North, which is what people would know as Rodney. So I've come down from Orewa today. Pleasant drive and happy to be here.
Right, okay. So how long have you been with the police organisation?
So I've been with the police 32 years now.
32?
Yes. I joined as a 20-year-old.
What makes you join?
To be honest, I was always been involved with volunteer organisations and helping out the community. So I wanted to do a job that helped people, but also as a 20-year-old, I was after a bit of adventure as well.
Right.
And so the police has been really good to me like that. I've been able to help a lot of people in a number of ways at their worst times and sometimes at their best. And I've also had a few adventures along the way.
So you mentioned that you're a volunteer. So what organisation or what things do you volunteer for?
So when I was young, I joined as a surf lifesaver, and I continue today to still be a active surf lifesaver. So I continue to volunteer in that manner.
Okay. So do you do that regularly or is it occasionally?
No, and it's quite regular. So the surf lifesaving season's just started again. In fact, I'm on patrol tomorrow. Saturday, and looking forward to get back on the beach and just keeping our community safe on the water.
Okay. So 32 years is actually quite a considerable period of time, really. So, and I'm sure you would have met a lot of challenges, but I'd like to know what is the most memorable incident or time that you have with the police?
Probably the most, the time that I felt most rewarded, I spent about 6 or 7 years on the search and rescue team. And as part of that search and rescue role, we also carry the role of DVI, which is Disaster Victim Identification.
Okay.
And during that period, you'll recall, of course, and many of the viewers will recall, 2004 on Boxing Day, the tsunami in the Indian Ocean that claimed over 200,000 people. My role, I was sent to Thailand for 3 months, and I was part of the team that was tasked with identifying over 4,500 victims of the Asian tsunami. And so that was a time of great tragedy, but it was also really rewarding for me to be able to at least send many people home and bring closure to many of the families that were wondering where their loved ones were, what had happened to them.
Yeah, it must be not only just a job then, it's a very humane thing to do.
Very much so. And so, you know, during that time I met a lot of the families or police that were working with the families, and see the real tragedy of people that were just going about their daily lives, whether they were Europeans there as holidays, whether they were Thais as locals, immigrant workers, going about their daily lives, and then right across the Indian Ocean we just lost hundreds of thousands of people. And
did you have challenges with languages in Thailand?
Yeah, but we had really good liaisons with the Thai police and interpreters, and it wasn't just the Thai language. There were over 15 nationalities that were missing, and so that was a really challenging but rewarding time in my career, and I've continued that on. So I still remain as a commander on the Disaster Victim Identification team, and so I've been able to help the victims of the Christchurch earthquake and most recently the Christchurch shooting, helping to identify and return the victims to their families.
I'm sure with those experiences. Yeah. Okay. You are the area commander for Wairarapa district. Can you tell us a little bit about the geographical areas that you look after, that you command?
So I'm very fortunate to be an area commander. That means that I'm assigned a large geographical area a group of excellent men and women who police the area, and together we address whatever happens in that area. So my area is what people would know as Rodney area. So I have both coasts. So I pretty much go from Dairy Flat around the west coast, so through Kumeu, Helensville, right up the west coast.
Kumeu belongs to you. Oh,
Yes,
right.
it does.
I always thought that Kumeu was west.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, somehow I'm thinking like
So
that.
Kumeu's still a rural station, but of course the city's rapidly catching up to Kumeu.
Okay.
So I have that. Helensville's still very country, and so I go right up the west coast, and then also up the east coast. So that's Orewa, right up to Warkworth, Wellsford, and we go as far as Kaiwaka. So it's a big geographic area.
So it sounds like you're given all these beautiful scenery areas. Very, very lucky.
Oh, look, I often say that I think I have the jewel in the crown of Tamaki Makaurau.
Yeah.
I feel like we have this beautiful patch that sits at the top of Tamaki Makaurau there, and I'm really proud to police it. The men and women that I have working for me in the police, many of them live there, are local, so they're really invested in seeing really good outcomes for their communities as well.
And you live there as well.
So I live there, so
Yeah,
obviously
so
I'm really invested in the
really
outcomes.
Passionate about
Yeah,
that too.
yeah.
So, in your area, I mean, when I talk about beautiful, one tends to think that there's no crime there. So, what are some of the main concerns in your area that you command?
So, it is one of the most beautiful areas in the country, and we do have a really low crime rate, but unfortunately crime invades everywhere.
Yeah, of course.
The kind of challenges we face in crime space are around dwelling burglaries. So we work really hard to keep the number of dwelling burglaries really low, and they are quite low, but we work really hard for that because we know that people should feel safe in their own home.
Yes.
So we work hard to do that. One of the other challenges for my patch is the trauma on the road, because going through there is State Highway 1, State Highway 16. They are high-speed roads. They have no barriers, no median barriers, and so we work really hard together with my friends in the road policing department to try and keep people safe on the road as well.
All right. Okay. That's good because I think holiday season is coming, and I will be having a chat with the road policing managers as well, and to target some of these, to prevent some of these incidents. But today with you, I like to focus on online security. Now, when we use the word online security, from the police point of view, what crimes are we usually referring to?
So we're referring to pretty much anything that isn't some kind of physical crime. So we're used to dealing, of course, with theft and shopliftings and break-ins. But when we talk online security, we're talking about people keeping themselves safe when using electronic medium. It could be a phone, your computer, those kind of electronic mediums that we use every day now.
So, of course, over the years, every day I think we hear things like phone scams, for example, happening not just in New Zealand, but it's global. So can you tell us one or two examples or incidents that are quite common but still happening?
Yeah. So I think it's useful to understand the purpose behind the scammers. The scammers want one thing. They want your hard-earned money. The money that you work for, that you've saved over the years. They don't want to work.
And they don't care.
They don't care. They don't care who you are.
Yeah.
They don't care how hard you work. They want your money. Most of us these days no longer keep our money under the mattress, but we keep our money in our bank accounts. And so the scammers want access to your bank accounts, and it's all about that. So, for example, one of the ones we're still seeing is the phone scam where they call up and say, "Oh, we are from your phone company. We've noticed that you've got a virus in your computer, and we can help you now fix that." And they're really convincing. They might say they're from the phone company, might say they're from Microsoft. And then they offer to, or they don't offer, they are very insistent on fixing your computer.
They're almost like trained to do this talk.
Well, they understand human behaviour, and it's a numbers game. It's like if you throw 100 balls in the air, but one person catches that ball, that's all they need.
Yeah. That's possibly sometimes a year's salary of somebody.
Very easily, very much so. So, and it's definitely worth their time. So, if they can get just one person a day to believe them, then that's their salary made for the week. And so it's all about, they operate either on trying to make you scared or maybe gain your trust. They might be operating on the fact that, well, everyone's doing this, so you should be part of that. Or they may try to be your friends. But ultimately, the ultimate goal is to get your money from your bank account, and the easiest way to your bank account is through your computer and your online logins.
But Inspector Fergus, what I'm curious is, there are so much information about phone scams. You know, you could see it in social media, online, whatever media, and yet we find people falling prey and actually giving up their money to these people. Why is that so?
So we do find that a large number of people over 65 fall prey to the scam. Okay. For example, 23% of people who fall prey to scams are aged over 65. So, and that's because they've grown up in a generation of trust and not really understanding about the implications of people getting into their computer. So there is that. But having said that, 20% of the people who are scammed are aged under 30. Young people that have grown up every day.
Okay.
So what it comes down to is these people are very convincing. They know you might ask some questions and check, and they have processes to do that. And look, my brother called me just last week, and his mother-in-law fell prey to the phone scam. And she's a smart lady, retired, ex-businesswoman, and she got taken in. So people should understand that if they do fall prey, they just need to accept it, but then seek help to find out how to fix it.
So I think there was another one that I heard yesterday. Funny enough, I was just going through my Facebook, and there was this one that was recorded, and this person was just saying that we have identified that your credit card has been used in a money laundering scam or scheme or whatever, and we are now here to help you clear your name. So but before that, we need to identify whether I'm speaking to the right person. Can you give me your date of birth and some information? Now, this recording was someone from the US, and coincidentally, it was a police officer who has received this call. So she decided to actually test this guy, and eventually said, they asked for the social security number, and this person said, well, I'm not giving you my social. This police officer said, I'm not giving you this. Now, my question here is, when people say, one day someone rings me and I got this phone call, is it advisable to play this game along with this person, even though you know it's a scam and I'm not going to give money to you? What's your thought on this?
So I do hear this sometimes. People have played along with the scammer for a bit of humour or having a bit of fun. I do not advise it.
Okay.
I absolutely
Why is that?
Because that you may inadvertently still reveal details. You're wasting your time. They really don't care anyway. But my main concern is that you may, in the end, almost be convinced about it as well. So simply do not follow along. There are times when the bank does ring, but it's very rare. And there are times when the police may ring to check on things. The one simple thing, and the bank doesn't care, the police don't care, is that you say, what is your name? And I will call you back. Now, they'll say, well, here's my phone number. And you say, no, I don't need it. And then you go to the proper website for your bank or the police station, and you ring the number then and ask for that person.
Okay. I just want to repeat that what Inspector Fergus said is very important. So for the sake of our communities, when someone asks, say that, okay, if you want to clarify, you can ring me back. This is my phone number. Do not call that number. Go on the website or phone book and find the number of that organization and ring and ask if there is such a thing happening.
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Because it's really important that you independently look up the number yourself. And again, when my brother's mother-in-law got scammed 2 weeks ago, they said, oh look, if you want to check, you can ring this person, provided the number. That person sounded very legitimate, and then said yes, and the other person will ring back. Never do it. Look up the number yourself. As police officers, as banking officers, we know people, we want people to check, so we don't think it's rude or anything. We don't think you're being improper. We're very happy to hear that, and I'll sit by my phone and wait for 10 minutes later for your call to come back to me.
Correct. And even for the police, anyone can actually call our 105 number and check, do you have this officer by this name or the QID, and ask the person to put you through their phone number rather than you calling a number that they gave you.
Correct.
Yes, all right, okay. Okay, so with phone scams, I think very important is the police and government agencies and even your banks will not ask you to send money to them, you know. This is very important for all of us to understand, to know, for our communities to know. If people ask you, you need to deposit such money to or pay a fine or whatever, you can actually go to the office of that organization and check it out. Do not send money to just because someone is on the phone asking you to. This is very important. Now let's move on to another perception, Inspector Fergus. So we are talking about online security today, and I think the other aspect is when we post things on our social media, our Facebook, Instagram, this sort of things, this sort of sites, from past records, people have been charged for illegal activities online. Can you please share some knowledge to our communities on how one should keep themselves safe from either becoming a victim or even becoming an offender?
Sure. And so we have a thing called Harmful Digital Communications Act, which is about keeping people safe online. And it's really simple. Don't say anything online that you would not say to the person to their face. People get behind the keyboard and they feel very brave, and they start abusing people, arguing with people. And look, it's fine to have differing opinions. We love that. In New Zealand, we love the fact that we can all have different opinions. In fact, we may not even agree with the government, but that's okay. We can have our opinions. But when your opinion or your words become threatening, cause people to be scared, are bullying, or are revealing people's personal information, that's when you're likely to run into trouble with the law.
Okay, and if that happens, what can I do? If I'm the receiver of that, what can I do?
So we want you, if you're feeling threatened or scared online, we want you to contact the police. Okay. You can call us on 105 and discuss with us. We may be able to give you some advice, or if it's serious enough, we may look at an investigation into criminal charges around the threatening behaviour. So the short answer is give us a call and talk it through. We'll give you some advice, and then, like I say, if it's got serious enough, we'll launch an investigation.
Okay. What about posting things like obscene or nudity online? Is that legal or illegal in New Zealand?
So you need to be really careful once you're getting down to graphic pictures. Many of the websites are self-censoring, but there's a couple of things around it. You cannot post other people's pictures.
Other people's.
Correct.
Pictures, yeah.
That is almost certainly likely to see you in trouble with the law. Sometimes we get relationship breakups, and then people, out of anger and spite, post those pictures. You know, and it's really harmful. It's really bad news.
Yeah.
So the short answer is just don't. Keep your private pictures private. And of course the other thing is, once it's out there, it's out there. You can delete it from the website, it is too late.
Yeah.
People can capture that, screenshot it.
Yeah. Cut and
then
paste.
Cut and paste.
Yeah.
It's there for life. And that's one of the things also we need to make our young people understand. That what they post online, it's there for life.
Yes, and I think some people think that, okay, you know, in Facebook you can choose whether friends can see your post or public can see your post. They don't realize when your friends see the post, they can cut and paste or screenshot it and then share it with other friends.
Sure.
Oh, they may not have bad intentions, but who knows, the friends could have other intentions. So you gave a very good piece of advice that be mindful whenever you think you want to post anything that you will regret later on, especially for young people, when you grow up, when you become more matured, or when you're trying to get a good job and realize, gee, when I was young, this is what I've done.
Yeah.
You know, I think parents, well, let's come to the point of parents then.
Yeah.
What about parents? What can parents do to help protect the children in that sense?
So it starts at a really early age now.
Yeah.
Our young people
What do you mean early? How early is early?
As soon as a parent puts a digital platform in front of the child, be it an iPad, iPhone, computer, then it's time to start talking about those things. Because this is the way that these children will grow up and communicate for the rest of their days. It starts with basic security items, making sure they've got a PIN number. And please don't use your date of birth.
Right.
You know, so many people use their date of birth, and people can figure that out.
Yeah.
The young people today, when they go out, they have their phone, always have their license in the phone for ID. If you're using your date of birth for your ID, it doesn't take long to look at the license. There we go. Phone's open. All your information's there. So set a good passcode. Then from there it is explaining about what they post. And I kind of use the example, you wouldn't go to a party and hand out naked photos of yourself to 30 random people. Yet we almost do that online sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
But it's not only 30, it's 100, 150. So again, don't do the things that you wouldn't do in face. We talked to them about the fact that not everyone out there is who they seem. So you may think you're talking to a young 16-year-old girl. It is probably a 52-year-old man from some country, who knows where.
Yeah.
And so you need to know that who people say they are is not necessarily what they are. And the final thing is, please don't meet any strangers that you've met online without really thinking about the dangers of that. So again, you may think you're meeting that 16-year-old girl for the first time, but who is it you're actually meeting? You need to be really, really conscious about meeting people from the digital world and the real world.
Yes, and again, this is another thing that you've just brought to my mind again, is people dating. You know, they try and meet somebody that, good intentions, they want to really meet some genuine people that they could think they're going to maybe set a life with them, but then they get scammed of money, tons of money, promising them a marriage and all that, but eventually it's not. And I do hear you. It's strange, isn't it, Inspector Fergus? Because I remember when I was really young, we have diaries. We write diaries.
Yeah.
And no one should see my diary.
Yes.
We get angry when people look or peep at our diary. But nowadays, we get angry when people don't like our Facebook.
They don't look at it though. That's right, exactly.
So the time has changed.
Yeah, and look, the online dating. Look, that's how people meet these days.
Yes.
In our days, we went to the nightclubs and we danced to Madonna and George Michael.
Yes.
Those days are very different now. So I accept there is online dating, but we just ask people to be really cautious about when they first meet the people. Meet them in public places. Make sure someone knows who you are going. Perhaps take a friend. Just meet for a very short time to start with, half an hour, and so that you can find out if you like each other, if you feel safe or not. Be really cautious. You also mentioned, Jessica, about these people that are just after your money.
Mm.
So we call it the romance scams, and they are very real. And I've seen examples of them over the past years, where people exactly that think they are having a romance online with someone who really is just after their money. They never meet the person, and then the person says, "Oh, look, I shall come and meet you, but can you help me with the airfares?" Sure, the money goes to airfares, and it goes, "Oh, I was supposed to come, but I couldn't come because of my sister's ill. If you could just lend me that money." And these people still think they are having a romance, but they are just being scammed. And it's really hard, and it's really sad to know that.
Especially some people would have saved long time for that, And we're not just talking about $1,000 or $2,000.
No,
I mean, I've heard of hundreds of thousands from just one person.
And look, I've seen these, and I've personally dealt with these people, so it's real. And look, but if you get scammed, you're not a bad person. It's not your fault. You just have to own it and do something about it, and own it, and probably, I hate to say it, write the money off.
Yeah.
Because even if we want to hear about it as a police, but many times these are happening overseas. We're New Zealand police, we have no jurisdictions, and the best we can do is pass the information to our colleagues at Interpol, but it's very rare that we get money back from overseas.
Yes. Even sometimes when those people are apprehended, money could be used already. They can't come up with the money.
Yeah.
So.
And I'd like to talk just about one other scam that's really common, and I see it still in my inbox, which is the email scam, and we call it a phishing scam, where it appears to come from a genuine provider. And they might be, for example, they appear to be your bank, or I'm currently keep seeing in my inbox Netflix at the moment.
Oh yeah.
And it says, "Oh, it's Netflix here, you need to renew your subscription, click here." Never ever click on a link from an email that appears to be from someone legitimate.
Right.
Be really, really careful of that.
Sure. Okay. So now, Inspector Fergus, thank you so much for coming to chat with me. And Inspector Fergus, I've known you for 11 months now, and you are really reaching out to us ethnic people. And a good example is at Oriwa, you set up this community event where the Chinese and the Korean community come once a month to meet the officers and talk about crime and safety, and each month you're giving them one crime type, how to prevent. But what I'm really, really impressed with you is each month you never fail to turn up, and you are an area commander, you are very busy, it's in the evening, and yet whether rain, shine, and I remember at one time we finished a conference and for 2 days conference, and you still rush there for a 7 p.m. meeting. I really thank you for that. So that's all we have for today for Cop Chat. And some of the things that we talk about, all these scams, online security today, some of you may think that, gee, I know all about this already. However, there are still people being scammed and not keeping themselves safe. So hopefully what Inspector Fergus have repeated some of them to some of you who you think you already knew, but a good way to remind us not to fall prey to this kind of scam. So thank you very much, and your feedback is very important, so make sure you email us if you have any feedback. So until then, I'll see you again at Cop Chat. Thank you.